Meghan ruined Harry. Now that the once carefree, fun-loving prince has turned into a miserable moaner, lashing out from the depths of his paranoia.
Once seen as a symbol of modernity and progress within the British monarchy, Meghan Markle has undergone a dramatic shift in public perception. What began as a fairy tale romance between an American actress and a British prince has devolved into a transatlantic media war, complete with lawsuits, royal secrets, and a growing body of skeptics questioning her true motives. But was Meghan ever here to play by the royal rules? Or was she playing an entirely different game?
Depth of friendship at the onset, I think it's kind of when you're on a plane, and I remember like back in the day, you'd sit next to a stranger and sometimes you'd feel more comfortable telling your life story to a complete stranger.
To understand the full scale of what many are now calling a royal takedown, we need to go back, not to her marriage, but to her rise. Before the world knew Meghan Markle as the Duchess of Sussex, she was Rachel Meghan Markle, a California-born actress with ambitions far beyond the Hollywood lights. Friends from her early days in Los Angeles described her as driven, meticulous, and focused. She wasn't just chasing roles, she was chasing relevance, status, and a legacy. She knew how to network better than anyone I've ever met, a former colleague told The Times. But it wasn't just for work. Meghan wanted power.
The world, he thinks, is conspiring against him.
According to a source, here's the quote, Prince William plans to flex his muscles and wipe his wayward brother, Prince Harry.
Her big break came in 2011, when she landed a role on the TV show Suits. Though she wasn't the lead, Meghan stood out, crafting a social media persona that leaned heavily into philanthropy, feminism, and luxury aesthetics. She was building a brand and a fan base. But even as she grew within Hollywood circles, Meghan set her sights higher.
I gave you that for a reason. You haven't taken one note.
It's because...
Because you were too busy ogling me to listen to a word I've said. You wouldn't even know where to look without me.
You know what nobody likes?
In 2016, Meghan began dating Prince Harry, one of the most eligible royals in the world. At first, the press adored her. She was biracial, American, and independent. A breath of fresh air for an institution struggling with its colonial past. But Meghan's honeymoon with the British public was short-lived.
And his power-hungry wife, Meghan, from the history books, it says.
But this has been Meghan Markle's MO from the beginning. She wants all of the privileges.
Almost immediately after her engagement to Prince Harry, Meghan began experiencing what she described as relentless attacks from the British tabloids. She claimed racism, misogyny, and classism were all at play, and in many ways they were. But behind the headlines, palace insiders were starting to raise quiet concerns. Meghan wasn't adapting to royal life, she was challenging it.
And I think also once my friends, were able to really meet Harry and my mom, who we've spent a lot of time with, who's so much fun.
Your mom's amazing.
Royal aides began leaking stories of tension. Meghan reportedly clashed with staff. Aides quit. Accusations of bullying emerged. Accusations that Meghan denied, saying they were part of a coordinated smear campaign. But the stories persisted.
That go along with an identity, but she doesn't want any of the responsibility. She doesn't want to do any of the work. She wants the tiara, she doesn't want the public service.
It was just obvious that no matter what we were being put through, that it was just temporary and that we were going to...
In 2018, at her wedding, Meghan's father didn't walk her down the aisle. A week before the ceremony, Thomas Markle staged paparazzi photos for money and was allegedly cut off from contact. Meghan would later say she felt betrayed. But some observers suggested this was a pattern, severing ties with those who no longer served her image. Friends, family, even trusted insiders seemed to be expendable if they no longer fit her carefully curated narrative.
But Meghan is willing to show pictures of her kids. I think it just depends on how many zeros are at the end of the check. Be able to get through that, so everyone was really happy with me. He's talked to my dad a few times, hasn't been able to meet him just yet. But
here's the twist. Meghan wasn't just acting out of emotion. Some analysts say this moment marked a calculated pivot. She was no longer just a royal bride-to-be. She was a brand manager, sharpening the edges of her public identity. The decision to walk alone, the symbolism of independence. It wasn't just personal, it was powerful. It said, I don't need tradition, I write my own story.
Their 7 years, we have seen basically a catastrophic comedy of errors ever since they got married and then ran away to...
Once and then twice back-to-back, 2 dates in London last July.
Yes.
Beginning of July.
And that's what she's been doing ever since, rewriting the narrative. But who really holds the pen? By 2019, Meghan and Harry were clearly on a different trajectory from the rest of the royal family. They launched lawsuits against British tabloids, accusing them of harassment and intrusion. They broke royal protocol by issuing unapproved public statements, speaking directly to the public rather than through the palace machine. These weren't accidental missteps, they were strategic breaks. In early 2020, they dropped the bombshell. They were leaving.
Prince William is reportedly formulating a plan to finally strip Prince Harry and Meghan Markle of their HRH.
The world's biggest victims right now are the Duke and Duchess of Netflix.
And in fact, it was Harry's statement that confirmed they were a couple for the first time. I think it's a really difficult one because they are going...
Their departure, dubbed Megxit, wasn't a quiet retreat. It was a media spectacle. Here's where it gets cinematic. Instead of a formal press conference or family discussion, Meghan and Harry posted their decision on Instagram. A single social media post ignited a global frenzy.
Standard, typical night for us.
Cozy night. It was what we're doing, just roasting chicken and
Roasting
having
a chicken. Trying to roast a chicken.
trying to roast a chicken, and it was just an amazing surprise. It was.
They did not consult Queen Elizabeth beforehand. The palace was blindsided, left scrambling to respond. Royal watchers called it disrespectful. Others said it was revolutionary. Either way, the couple had seized control of their own narrative.
Nobody set out to destroy you. You destroyed yourselves in this country with your ludicrous, hypocritical behaviour. Truth be told, what she just said is
So sweet and natural and very romantic. He got on one knee.
Of course.
Was it an instant yes from you?
Yes.
Then came the Oprah interview. Broadcast in March 2021, the interview was watched by over 17 million people in the US alone. Meghan accused the royal family of racism, claiming an unnamed member of the family had expressed concerns about her unborn child's skin colour. She said she felt suicidal and was denied help. Harry revealed he was financially cut off. The royal family was under siege.
There's a conversation with you
With Harry,
about how dark your baby is going to be?
potentially, and what that would mean or look like. As a matter of fact, I could barely let you finish proposing. I was like, can I say yes now?
She didn't even let me finish. She said, can I say yes, can I say yes? And then there was hugs and I had the ring on my finger and I was like...
Each claim landed like a punch. The monarchy, an institution built on secrecy and tradition, was suddenly being dismantled in prime time. Meghan and Harry framed themselves as victims of a cold, outdated system. Oprah's shocked expressions echoed millions watching at home. For many, it was the first time they had seen a royal speak with such raw honesty, or such rehearsed precision.
Fleshed out in public. I find that really quite...
Just wait until Prince William is king. I think he's going to put his handsome foot down, and he is going to rock Meghan Markle.
Can I give you the ring? She was, oh yes, the ring. So no, it was a really nice moment. It was just the two of us, and I think...
But was this about truth or control? The fallout was global. The British press called it a betrayal. American media largely took Meghan's side. But behind the scenes, palace aides began fighting back. Leaks painted Meghan as difficult, controlling, and manipulative. Some accused her of orchestrating her victim narrative for personal gain.
A report in OK magazine, Prince William plans on stripping both Harry and Meghan of their HRH titles once he becomes king.
It's obviously yellow gold because that's her favourite. And the main stone itself, a sourced from Botswana, and the little...
And this is where the story deepens. Because since leaving the UK, Meghan hasn't retreated into quiet civilian life. She and Harry signed a $100 million deal with Netflix. They signed another massive deal with Spotify. They launched Archewell Productions, a media empire designed to shape narratives. Meghan had exchanged a crown for a content contract, and it paid.
They're sitting down, giving that interview, that awful interview to Oprah Winfrey, calling the royal family racists.
The diamonds either side are from my mother's jewellery collection to make sure that she's with us on this crazy journey together.
But what kind of stories were they telling? In December 2022, Netflix released a 6-part documentary series simply titled Harry and Meghan. It was glossy, emotional, and deeply critical of the monarchy. Meghan detailed how she was fed to the wolves by royal aides. Harry described the institution as cold and uncaring. The message was clear. They were not the villains, they were the casualties.
I can't imagine having to feel like it's appropriate to have those sorts of close and should be otherwise private family conversations.
And
It's beautiful, and he designed it. It's incredible.
yeah,
Yeah.
and make sure it stays on my finger.
But public response was mixed. In the UK, approval ratings plummeted. In the US, sympathy began to wane. Critics said the couple, while decrying invasions of privacy, were monetizing their private pain. Worse, the documentary appeared one-sided, an echo chamber with no rebuttal.
Wife is not visibly black, but that's who she is. The way that they speak about her and the way they treat her is incredibly relatable to everybody else. I think it's for me, it's an added member of the family. It's another team player as part of the bigger.
Here's a detail often overlooked. Former staffers came forward anonymously, claiming their own mistreatment at the hands of the couple. Meghan's defenders dismissed them as palace loyalists, but the damage was done. The fairy tale was cracking.
Meghan has always been a mad, keen player of the victim card. The nasty Brits who took against her because of the colour of her skin, the social media link.
All of us, all we want to do is be able to carry out the right engagements, carry out our work, and try and encourage others and the younger.
Spotify eventually dropped them. Their podcast Archetypes, marketed as a bold feminist exploration, produced just one season. Spotify's CEO called them grifters behind closed doors. Netflix is reportedly re-evaluating their deal after viewership didn't meet expectations. So the question looms. If Meghan left the royal family for freedom, why does she keep dragging them back into the spotlight?
It was so unconscionably cruel to her. The journalist haters who keep writing about what a bully she is. All the negative media coverage she gets has
Motion to be able to see the world in the correct sense rather than perhaps having a distorted view. So the fact that I feel.
Some insiders believe Meghan's plan wasn't to escape the royal system, but to dismantle it from outside, on her own terms. She's rebranded herself as a modern monarch of media. She dresses like royalty. She speaks in polished, almost regal tones. She signs deals with billion-dollar companies and surrounds herself with a team that crafts her public persona down to the last detail.
Institutional gaslighting that happens is extraordinary, and that's why everything that's happened to us was always going to happen to us, because Meghan so incredibly quickly was sort of confirmation to me that everything, all the stars were aligned, everything was just perfect.
A Vanity Fair article from 2023 noted, Meghan is not seeking anonymity. She's seeking supremacy on a different playing field. And now, with whispers of political ambitions in the US, the scope of her aspirations becomes clearer.
If you speak truth to power, that's how they respond.
Before you gave up any royal duty, but wanted to have your royal cake and eat it by keeping your title, so you could.
She fell into my life, I fell into her life, and the fact that I know the fact that she'll be really unbelievably good at the job part of it as well.
Back in California, Meghan has been quietly building influence. She's aligned herself with Oprah, Gloria Steinem, and other progressive power players. She's hired Hollywood's top agents, stylists, and branding experts. Her team reportedly includes political consultants. She's given keynote speeches on women's empowerment, diversity, and leadership.
exploit them and make gazillions of dollars in America to the highest bidder. And what do you do for that money? You trash your family endlessly, and you're going to keep doing it, as does your wife.
It's honestly a huge relief to me because she'll be able to deal with everything else that comes with it. But no, you know, we're a fantastic team. We know we are, and we hope to.
Let's not forget, in an age where celebrity means power, Meghan has positioned herself as both. Her social media silence is not a retreat, it's strategy. Every appearance is calculated, every headline is curated. Meghan doesn't just respond to the narrative, she creates it.
Sent a bloke or some friend of hers from it, and it said, present from HRH, the Duchess of Sussex. So she's lying.
Yeah, she's gaslighting, she's lying, absolutely. And this is...
Over time, try and have as much impact for all the things that we care about as much as possible.
I am very excited about that, yeah.
In 2024, she rebranded her lifestyle company and hinted at a return to the public stage, not as an actress, but as a leader. Meghan's fans are already floating the idea of Markle for president across social media, though there's no concrete sign she'll run for office. Still, the very possibility speaks to how carefully she's engineered her comeback.
Here in the States, it's being reported by tabloids that Meghan quietly canceled plans to celebrate their 7th wedding anniversary at home with Prince Harry because
a relatively quiet life, even though I focus so much on my job. And so that was a really stark difference out of the gate.
And the royal family? They've gone silent. After the Oprah interview, the Queen issued a single, measured statement. Recollections may vary. Since then, Buckingham Palace has refused to engage in public sparring. But insiders say Prince William feels betrayed, and King Charles, once fond of Meghan, has grown wary.
Especially William and Kate didn't develop reservations about Meghan because of the way she bullied palace staff. She was simply the victim of royal racism.
I think we were just hit so hard at the beginning with a lot of mistruths that I made the choice to not read anything, positive or negative. It just didn't make sense, and instead we...
In a symbolic move, Harry was not invited to the traditional Trooping the Colour ceremony in 2024. His memoir, Spare, had burned too many bridges. Meghan did not attend the King's coronation. She sent a brief, formal message of congratulations.
She hated being in Britain, she hated being a royal, and then she staged that Megxit, taking Harry in tow, fleeing Britain under a cloud because the Queen had...
To set them up, and to set all of us up, for a successful, equitable, and compassionate tomorrow.
And yet, the Sussex brand survives. It thrives on controversy. Meghan's critics say she's manipulative. Her defenders say she's a victim of entrenched racism and misogyny. Both sides agree on one thing: she's not done. Whether it's through documentaries, podcasts, or carefully timed interviews, Meghan Markle has become a one-woman institution, an outsider who commands more headlines than most royals ever will. The crown may be behind her, but the spotlight isn't.
In the past practice, Prince Andrew, when he stepped away from royal life after scandal, he still has the...
In the UK say enough is enough, especially after Prince Harry's disastrous BBC interview, which...
The most important thing that I work on every day, my practice, is trying to really integrate it, to integrate the joy, to integrate, like we say, like, you have to...
As of now, the British monarchy remains intact, but changed. The cracks Meghan exposed are real. The lack of emotional support, the out-of-touch traditions, the racial blind spots. But the manner in which she exposed them, publicly, profitably, and unapologetically, has turned many former fans into critics.
It's hardly a secret that the palace has already conducted secret meetings with members of the government to discuss putting the plan into action.
Your day-to-day. Yeah. And so you start with that immediate trust, but I guess the difference is for us, it's just become so lasting.
So, was this all part of the plan? If Meghan Markle set out to modernise the monarchy, she failed. But if she set out to unmask it, to burn it down and build something new in its ashes, then maybe she's already won. Because in today's world, power doesn't come from a crown. It comes from controlling the narrative.
So busy with so many different things, and for each of those projects, as you mentioned, the show or
The podcast or the brand, it's a feeling of joy we share with millions of other families around the world. When we think of her, we think of all the young women and girls around the globe who must be given the ability and support.
And Meghan Markle, love her or hate her, is proving she might just be the queen of that. If you found this story compelling, subscribe to our channel for more in-depth investigations into power, influence, and the hidden battles behind the headlines. Like this video, share it with someone who loves royal drama, and let us know in the comments. Has Meghan gone too far, or is she just getting started?